come with me on a journey. This is the key. I'm not doing anything weird or wrong. I just have the key. So let's take a look. One press. It unlocked. That's great. Let's go see what's going on. It's been in the sun all day, so it's going to be really hot. And yeah, it's really hot in here. But regardless of what temperature it is, let's take a look at what happens. I've got the key right here. I'm just going to put it down in its little place. All right, let's see what happens when I hit the brake pedal. This time the profiles worked, but they don't always. Phantom drain wasn't bad today. Looks like just about 1%. Right now my phone has pretty good charge, but if I wanted to charge it here, I couldn't. So I have to have this USB-C cable that's plugged in down here. But I cannot use this unless I lift this up and put my phone in it and just hope that it lands in the correct place. And it's not because the phone case is a problem. I can prove that. All right, we're into Model Y. This is my phone. This is the case, OtterBox case. iPhone 15 Pro. I'm gonna set it down. It's charging. Same thing, I got the phone. I'm gonna set it down. And align it. I mean, I'm just gonna line it up, line it up, line it up. Nothing happens. But if I lift this up and then I put the phone underneath with it lifted up, I'm charging. Right now, I'm charging. Let's just take a ride together across town. Let's see if I can get that in the picture. Yeah. All right. Reverse, seatbelt's on, so parking brake should disengage. Some people aren't a fan of that. We're just going to go across town and I'm going to talk to you about what it's like to own this car. I got the rear view camera. It's really nice. It works really well. It's a little laggy, but the resolution's good. Remember, I paid $40,000 for this car, so some of you extreme owners and ultras that are getting these new deals, you're paying the same amount I paid, plus I get a tax credit. I'll make a video about that later. I haven't forgot about you, tax credit people. Yeah, we're just gonna head down the road and see how it works out. The last time I drove this car, I fell in love with it. I loathed it. I was a super big fan of it. I hated it, and I wanted to drive it off a cliff at the exact same time I was really enjoying it. That's the kind of roller coaster you get when you drive this car, because at any given time, something can surprise you and just ruin everything. There's no other way to put it, but we'll get to that as we go across town. This is a really good example of what I use this car for now. I used to, when I first got it, I thought I'll road trip it and it'll be this and that, and I had all these plans, but because everything's a high risk now, it's a grocery getter. That's what I do in this car. Road trips are reserved for my Tesla, which it does way better anyway, for many reasons. If you see, you're probably looking at the back side of the steering wheel. If you see right somewhere in here, there's a little piece of damage that came with the car. So that happened either with whoever assembled it or the delivery company. They tore the steering wheel before I got a chance to touch it. So that was frustrating. I ordered floor mats from Liner X. Those are on the way. I had to ask them about shipping. They were very responsive. They got back to me in very good timing. All right, that was a beep. I don't know what that beep was. No idea. Could not tell you what that beep was. Probably proximity sensors, but the thing is, I didn't go near anything, so that didn't make any sense. At the light, a couple people look at the car. That's pretty typical. People are going to turn their heads when they see it. That's somebody walking in the middle of the street here. The car's quiet. It's comfortable. All of that's fine. There are no driver assistance anythings, just standard cruise control, which, I mean, across town and stuff, no big deal. Another reason why this is a grocery getter, because what am I gonna do? I don't have adaptive cruise on the highway. I mean, it's the reason I don't road trip my RAV4. People have asked me about the stereo. Yes, the stereo in here is poor. When I say poor though, I don't mean like it doesn't work. If you are listening at a low volume, it'll never steer you wrong. But there's no low end at all. I have found that when you roll the windows all the way down, you can get a pretty decent sound, but it's max volume. You got to think, how long has it been since you had to turn your stereo up to max volume to get the output you wanted? You do that in a Tesla, you're deaf. You do it in the extreme and you're deaf. If I didn't own a Tesla, I would tell you this is an extremely good melding between sporty and cushion as far as the ride quality. It's really nice. Got a crosswalk here on campus. Also, I lowered the back seat and folded it down, and ever since then, the car makes a noise in that area. On the passenger side rear seat, it just rattles. Both passenger seat rear seat belt, the spring that winds the seat belt back, doesn't work really well, so there are many times when you have to guide it back into its holster. That's really annoying because we do have a 3-person family and we very frequently use the rear seat. It's comfortable except for the fact that it makes noise. It sounds like something's just rattling around in there. Right now I'm on a pretty steep grade. Hill hold works just fine. So, you know, you might join me on a really nice drive. That's what you never know about this car. Sometimes the climate control turns on to 90 degrees, which is high, but it says high. And I need to take it back down to where it was. And then I need to go back to climate and hit auto. But yeah, just once in a while you get that. And I didn't do that. It just decides to do that. It's done it less since I got my third update at 2.0, but it still does it. I'm really glad I don't have anything but this roof because it's just nothing to contend with. This is not a power issue. I don't have concerns about it getting stuck open. Same thing with the rear glass. My rear glass doesn't lower, so I don't have to worry about anything with that. Should I want the rear glass to roll down? Sure, but because this car is so unfinished, it's kind of an advantage that I don't have to worry about it because it doesn't function properly. For those of you who don't subscribe, I do have the rotating screen. Subscribe though if you're interested in this car. I do everything there is to do with it. And I haven't signed into any of the streaming apps because I'm not going to be sitting in this car charging it. That's the thing. People ask me, is this a good buy? And it's all about your use case. If you own another car, yeah, this is fine. This is a perfect Sunday ice cream, pick up your kids from school once in a while. I work from home and I don't drive much. Yeah, this is great. You'll really enjoy it, especially if you don't drive electric already. You have no benchmark to compare it to. And electric cars are superior. They don't have transmissions that can grenade at 60,000 miles. They don't have loud engines. They don't emit exhaust, no matter how you feel about that. You can't breathe that stuff in for a long period of time and feel good afterwards. But it feels like a 2012. It feels like a 2014. Some of the stuff that we really thought we were going to get in this high technology just was not done. You can't walk up to the car with your phone and unlock it. You got to carry around this key fob. The key fob is unwieldy and it loses battery power when you move it around. How cool is that? Like, why does it need to do that? I don't use the buttons on the key fob unless I'm filming. So you got to see one of the rare times that I test the key fob. And yes, most of the time it does work, unless it's asleep. That's another thing. Deep sleep, that's a whole other issue. Why is it an issue? Because the car is unfinished. Deep sleep should be something the car figures out on its own. And it shouldn't have to ping the cloud at arbitrary times. It should just sit there and wait for a signal, like a Tesla does. And for those of you who don't like Tesla, I drove the Tesla to my dad's today. And when I say I drove, I kind of lied, because I have that full self-driving beta or supervised. I have the free month right now. And once you engage it, that's it. And if it makes a mistake, guess what? They ask you to tell them why you disengaged it so they can fix it later. Right now, they are scraping the world for road data. Is it ready for robo-taxi? No, I don't believe in any of that. I don't think that's a good thing. I believe that ride sharing is a really good way for people to be convinced to pay more money than they should to get from one place to another. But I'm just driving through town, 25 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour. It's fine. And on this trip, we may be error-free, other than that initial error in my neighborhood when it beeped at me a bunch of times. You also have to understand that's because I've turned everything off that I can turn off that makes sense. If you want to know what I turned off, you can check out my 2.0 video. That's the configuration you need if you don't want any annoyances, and you're in the US. It may be different for Europe because safety standards. Also, a lot of us US people don't understand what's going on with this car because it's internationally homologated. The European version and the American version, other than the charge port, may be exactly the same. And that doesn't ever happen. But this has all of the standards for all of the things, basically. I think there might be one or two extremely nuanced differences, like the letters in the ocean light up in Europe. I have the sport trim. I'm not interested in that kind of stuff. If you are one to say, I want the most features and the most things, I'm not that person. I'm a person B. You can watch my most recent Model Y comparison I did right around the beginning of this year to understand what a person B is. I'm a researcher. I am going to get the most value for my money based on what I want. I don't want the most things that there are, because it's almost always not the most value. I had somebody ask me about the Fisker King, and was that an advertisement? The Fisker King saw the interview I did with Bill, and he liked the format of the interview. Very rough road here. Hearing the bumps, not feeling them too much. A little bit of vibration, but it's a really rough road. So I interviewed the Fisker King because he reached out to Bill and said, hey, is there any way you can reach out to Adam to get an interview? So I just accepted the interview. If you've noticed, I've never had a sponsor on this channel, and I intend on doing that going forward, because objectivity goes out the window when you have a third party telling you what to put in your video. And that way, so I haven't done that. All right, we're pulling onto a 4-lane. I'll give it a little bit of throttle. So, I mean, it's got all that I could possibly need for around town. And I didn't intend on, honestly, the fact that it's April and I still own this car is definitely a tell, because I didn't intend on owning it this long. I intended on running it to 0, charging it to 100%, taking all the road trips, doing all the comparisons, and then getting rid of it for something else. But now I'm stuck with it. I'm not super upset about that, because there are some weird circumstances around the sport trim. I know Austin Evans just did a comparison. Is Fisker a scam? His whole YouTube thing is that he gets scammed, which means he just buys shady products and describes the experience of purchasing, owning, and testing them. But he tried to get a Fisker, and he was upset because they didn't contact him right away. Well, we all know that Fisker's been laying people off left and right, and they've now diverted the service staff to selling cars. You can watch that video as well. But he was upset that they wouldn't take his money immediately and deliver the car, but he knows nothing about the car or the company. He just wanted to hand them the money for the sake of making a video. And he did a really good job of summarizing like my last 10 videos. If you want a Fisker Ocean, and I'm not telling you to buy one, but if you want to get a Fisker Ocean, you need to call Classic Fisker in Atlanta, because you can take delivery there, they can do your plates there, all of that. Speaking of plates, I got my plates, and that's great. I'm registered. I'm good to go. My, my registration for the year is paid. That's super nice. There's a 75D Model X driving like they own the road. I've inspected the vehicle. I can show you that sticker as well. And in the event I get pulled over, I feel a lot more confident handing them a West Virginia registration than an Arizona temporary registration tag off the bottom of the plate. The reason why we all got Arizona plates is they are the most lax with laws. It is not because they registered in Arizona. In fact, the fact that we get Arizona plates is because Arizona has a loophole when it comes to registration. So, and we're never supposed to get a second temporary plate. That's not legal. So that was cool. I think the big tell that Fisker is completely done for is the fact that Henrik has said nothing publicly at all since the freezing of the trading. Since the trading stopped, he personally has said nothing. They've changed board members and some ownership, and they had to chase one of their debtors away by giving them $500,000 cash. And they've been officially delisted. I think the official delisting is the 22nd. So if that goes out before this, April 22nd, 2024 is the official delisting date. But yeah, Henrik has said nothing publicly. I know a couple people have messaged him, and he has responded to a couple of those messages. They're private. That information's not the kind of stuff I can share with you personally, but he is out there and he does know what's going on. I think his house is for sale now. It was for rent. Now it's for sale. So I don't think this company has a prayer of ever existing again, but they could be picked up by somebody else. And I think what we're going to be able to conclude from this video today is that this trip, A to B, not B to A, I won't record B to A. I just wanted to get you guys a nice, oh, and there, I spoke too soon. Auto emergency braking unavailable. Blind spot monitoring unavailable. There are the errors. Here they come. I think I drove into the sun probably, and that happens. I also get the 12-volt low error sometimes. I know I was detailing it the other day, and I left the vehicle on, so the music was playing, but the doors were all closed and the doors weren't locked. So that ran the 12-volt down, and I call it the hot lap, and that's what I do when I get in it and drive it up the street. I live on a very steep hill. I drive it up the steep hill and around the block and up the steep hill again for a total of 2 laps. It's maybe a quarter of a mile total. But I use, a decent amount of throttle, and I don't know whether that works or not. I am not going to go get a bunch of diagnostic software, which Fisker is out there. I'll leave that link. But I'm not going to go get a bunch of diagnostic software to check the health of my 12-volt battery. If that's the case, I'm going to disconnect the 12-volt battery, and I'm going to park this thing somewhere and wrap it up. I'll make the payments. I'll do the insurance. Set the insurance to storage, which nowadays doesn't even really matter. But I'll just make the payments and pay it off, and I'll just wait 20 years till it might be worth something, and I'll bring it back out. I might take it to Cars and Coffee once in a while, but that's it. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and, become some auto technician because they didn't finish my car. There are going to be, hopefully, Fisker King included, automotive technicians out there that will provide that service. But if I have to maintain my own 12-volt battery, this is a poorly manufactured car in the first place. That should never have to be done. That's something wrong. And me listening to the radio for 20 minutes should not cause the car to malfunction. So we're in the Walmart parking lot, and I did get the auto emergency braking and the blind spot monitoring unavailable chimes, which 90% of drives you get that. The other day when I took it out in the rain, it was just constant, just absolutely constant. And, it was raining pretty hard. The wipers worked good because it's a grocery getter, and this is kind of what it does now. The other concern I have is Sentry mode. So, yikes, there's no way to, I got to go get a dash cam. All right, fine, no big deal. A lot of cars have dash cams, but they could have put something. If they were going to do all this maximum software, why didn't they include that? That should have been included. But instead, my alternative is I just park in Timbuktu, which is where I am now. I'm halfway between the Walmart and the Sam's Club at a place where no one would park, and we've made it. So I just wanted to give you guys a real life experience driving the Fisker Ocean. It's fine. It's not annoying to drive, it's not annoying to drive, because the anxiety of when is it going to break is constant. But now you know what it's like, and you can let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Patreon, YouTube member, you can support me and get early access to videos. The support is much needed. Once again, I don't have any sponsors on this channel, but the support is extremely appreciated as well. I'm a single creator. I do all of this on my own. I have no team, no staff, no editor, no nothing. It's just me trying my best to provide an objective look at Fisker. And if there's something I missed, just let me know down below. I'll address all the questions I didn't get to in this video in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
All right, there